Hi everybody, it's Tracy Lewin and
Mavanwi Smith. Good morning, Tracy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous, thank you. How are you?
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
I don't think there's a day that goes by that we're not feeling so good.
Exactly. Well, I feel good on certain levels, and then I get the colds, and I'm not a winter person. But other than
Oh, you,
winter, I'm always good.
oh, wonderful, wonderful. You know, just before we had this, just before we started this recording, you and I were chatting about, educating ourselves and growing and learning and really just moving beyond our comfort zone. And I
Yes.
can say that something has really, really changed in us, the two of us, because certainly as we go along this journey, as we go along our Bitcoin journey, we are learning so much that people need to open up their minds. They need to open up their souls. They need to just open themselves for change and for something new and for continually learning.
Absolutely, Tracy. I think my words to you were that the day that we stop being prepared to learn is the day that our fire goes out, and we might as well then basically dig our grave and hop in. Because it's that continual learning. It doesn't have to be Bitcoins. We're talking about anything in life. That continual learning is what gives us the spice in our life. You find joy, you find wisdom, you find friendships, you find love, you find passion, you find enthusiasm, you find stuff you're not even looking for that just lights your fire. So, yeah, I think that everybody should be on this continual journey.
Well, I can tell you, I have such a fire inside of me that nobody and nothing is going to douse it. So let's carry on. This is our 11th episode, and honestly, I learn as much as you do, I'm sure, as we're going along this process, and
Yes.
I'm hoping our listeners do too. Um, and today you're going to talk about the voice. So over to you, Merv.
Thanks, Tracy. This actually, I don't know whether I've mentioned it, but I've just finished my second time of doing the Mind Power course by John Kehoe, and it was Robin Banks that did the presentation here in South Africa, and he is outstanding. But in the last lesson, he was talking about when he was with Tony Robbins, and I can't remember which program it was. There was this woman who was talking to Tony and said to him, I'm part of the crib or something. I don't know, some huge gang in the States, and I can't get out because there's only two ways to get out. That's dead or dead. You don't just leave these people. And she said to him, I want to get out, but I can't. My mother's telling me this, my father's telling me this, my sister's telling me this, and so saying this, and so saying that, etc., etc. And Tony just looked at her and said, you know what it sounds to me? It's like you're listening to every single other person except yourself. What do you want? Give yourself your voice. Find your voice. And before we go through this a little bit more, I just want to go back and give some examples, even in my own life, where I've spoken to people. Tracy, I'm sure you found it as well, especially people who have been like sexually abused. Their voice is totally squashed inside of them. They can't give an opinion. They're too scared almost to be able to say yes or to say no. And things like that. So today I just thought I would like to just encourage our listeners to find their voice, because we each have one, and we each have purpose, and we each have a destiny that the world needs to see more of us, not who we have been squashed into, but the true essence of who we are, because it's in that true essence that brings the best to the universe. So when you are, and I'm sure I've said this a million times because I so believe it, the more you are who you are is the more that the world benefits. There's a ripple effect of that, and so let's just, before I start carrying on that little tangent, because I could, because I just think people need to realize that they are precious, they are needed. You didn't come to this earth for no good reason. You came with a purpose. You came with a destiny. And my desire is that you walk into that destiny. And you do that by learning a little bit here and a little bit there. So today's is on the voice. And this is what Tony said to this woman. He said, you need to find your voice. So now repeat this after me. I am the voice. I lead, not follow. I create, not destroy. I believe, not doubt. I am a force for good. I am a leader. Defy the odds. Set a new standard. Step up, step up, step up. And he made her repeat that quite a few times. And of course, she resolved into a ball of tears. But she carried on saying it, and she found her strength. And what Robin Banks had us to was to do exactly the same. And we repeated this quite a few times. And let me tell you, it gives you such power. So what I want to suggest to the listeners today is that you do just that. Repeat this 4, 5, 6 times. Learn it off pat. And then start being creative with what you're seeing here. So let's just do that again. I am the voice. I lead, not follow. I create, not destroy. I believe, not doubt. I am a force for good. I am a leader. Defy the odds. Set a new standard. Step up, step up, step up. So let's just look at it a little bit deeper, okay? I am the voice. That's you. I lead, not follow. That means you have leadership. You can lead in your home. You can lead in your life. You can lead in your job. You can lead wherever you find yourself. I create, not destroy. So you could say, I create life. I create wholeness. I create abundance. I create joy. I create passion, etc., etc. So you could build on this mantra if you choose to. You know, I believe, not doubt. I believe I have the ability. I believe that I am a useful person. I believe that I have purity, etc. I'm a force for good, especially for this poor woman who was in a gang. I mean, we know what gangs are up to. I'm a leader. Like we said, I'm a leader in my work or where I find myself in my home. Defy the odds. You know what? Everybody's sort of going like a lamb to the slaughter. Well, defy those odds. You don't have to be that. Tracy and I were just saying that learn. Set yourself up to learn something new on a daily basis. Set a new standard. You know, you'll probably find that you will then stand out from the crowd. And that's what you need, because we need more of you. So step up, my friends. Step up. Step up. Tracy?
Well, I am stepping up. That was brilliant, Merv. That was absolutely brilliant. I was totally mesmerized.
Oh, good.
So, and you know, they always say whatever you tell yourself is the most important voice that you need to hear. And so I'm going to create a little card so that people can actually have this in front of them and repeat, say these words.
Yeah.
These words.
And a good
you
place
are
to be. Yeah, you are the voice. You're right. And, you know, a good place to be saying this once you've learned it or whatever is in the shower. You know, it sort of resonates in there. And you can get a full force. You know, if you put your 6 senses into an affirmation or a visualization or something, it's then that things start to happen in your life. So put magic with this. Throw a little bit of magic in. Put in the energy, the emotion, and change your life. You change your life, nobody else.
You know, Merv, I actually just want to share something very personal. And in fact, I started when I was in my 20s. And I was going through some time and I was trying to decide what change I needed to make in my life. And do you know what I actually do? And I talk to myself and I say things. And so it's almost like when you talk out loud, you hear yourself, you see yourself, you feel it. Do you know what I mean? How if I've got something difficult that I need to resolve, or I have some issue that I want to get over, I talk to myself, and I look at myself in the mirror, and I talk to someone. I'm talking to me. So it sounds a little wacky, but that's what I do.
It's not wacky at all, Tracy, actually. Funny you should tell me that now. But it's not wacky at all. Louise Hay, I don't know whether anybody, the listeners or you, have heard of her, Louise Hay. She is one of the most amazing writers, speakers, and whatever. And she used to call it mirror work. And she dealt with people that have issues in their life, like being a homosexual. And at those days, you weren't allowed to be that. It was just looked so down on. And she helped them through that whole process with what she called mirror work. And she says, you got to do it. So Tracy, you did it without even knowing about Louise Hay. It's powerful.
And I'm talking a number of years ago, Cass. So I was in my 20s.
Yeah. And
I've always been a believer of writing down goals and looking at them every day. And when I wanted a new car, or I wanted something, I would cut out a picture and put it on the fridge, or put it in my on the wall in my office, or whatever the case. So nowadays I kind of do stuff that I have as my background on my PC. So all these kind of things, if you really believe, when you hear something, or you touch something, or you feel something, it just makes it more real, and you know that you can achieve it.
Yeah, sure.
We can't touch
that mirror
Bitcoin.
work is amazing.
So we can't touch Bitcoin, but what we can touch is the stuff we buy with Bitcoin.
Well, soon we'll be able to touch a symbol of Bitcoin. We've got some exciting things coming up, which we'll talk about in some later episodes. But I mean, it's just unbelievable what's happening in our lives with Bitcoin. What have you got for us on Bitcoins today, Tracy?
Well, you know what? This is our 11th episode, and I just, we've gone through a lot of stuff. We've talked about how to make money with Bitcoin, and we've spoken about the blockchain, and and a few other things. So today I really wanted to talk about the reasons why people should get into Bitcoin. The price at the moment, it's been very, very bear market. And we've had 2 bull runs in the past couple of months, and it's moved the pricing up to about it's over 450. It's been touching on about 460. It even went as far as just going over 470. But the fact of the matter is, you need to make a decision now to buy, because the sooner you get into this, the better off you will be, because we know, and all the signs are there, that the price is going to increase. They reckon that the price is just coiling up to strike again. We're coming up to the halving of the blockchain. The adoption in terms of consumer adoption is rising. Institutional investors are into Bitcoin. Smart money is moving there. All the millions are being spent by huge countries, companies such as Microsoft and IBM, and these guys are putting in millions. Countries are putting in millions in terms of blockchain technology. Industries are getting involved. So let me tell you, somehow you will be involved in Bitcoin and the blockchain. You just don't know where, if you're not directly involved with it. But it is coming there, and mainstream media are involved now, so it's happening. And we know that this price is going to get going. So I just wanted to talk about some reasons why you should consider Bitcoin. 5 reasons. The first one is, it's really just new. Bitcoin is nothing to be scared about. It is new. It's the same, maybe people were a little bit nervous when the internet came around. because all of a sudden you'd be exposed to pornography, you know, because that is what was pretty rife on the internet in the early days. It's still around, but certainly, you know, communication, connecting, the social networks. That's what those are all the great things that have happened with the internet. We're just now we're living in the world. We're not just living in a little country or a little town. We're living in the world. That's so exciting. So the internet has been something that's broken down borders, because we can learn and we can see what's going on in different countries. And it's the same with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just new, and Bitcoin goes across. It goes anywhere because it can be moved everywhere, and for as you know, very, very quickly and very, very cheaply. You know, there's a huge cost to moving money across border, to moving money into different currencies. And why should we do that when we can have something that can be digital and can be used everywhere? You know, of course, it can only be used with people who want to use. However, as I mentioned earlier, if you've got one of these Bitcoin cards, you would just swipe it, so it doesn't really matter, you know, and where you're buying. So it's as easy as that. A card too, and you have enjoyed a little bit of spending.
Oh yes.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very nice. And of course, the other thing is that the you know, the price does go up. So sometimes, you know, if you bought Bitcoin when it was sitting at $200 and now it's sitting at more than double, you would be smiling because your money has grown tremendously.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, and the signs are that it's going up, up, up.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, once you know, retailers. Let's talk about online retailers. So now you buy something online, and you have to send, and the person who buys sends, makes the payment with PayPal or credit card. You know, they can still charge that back. So with Bitcoin, once you've sent it, you've actually made that sale, and you can send off whatever you need to send off. So this is really good news for people who are offering services or goods. That there are no chargebacks. The other thing is, Bitcoin doesn't belong to anybody, so it's not a company. Interesting that on Facebook the other day I saw someone ask the question, who is with Bitcoin? so like, Bitcoin is a company. Well, Bitcoin is not a company, and Bitcoin is open source, and what open source means is that it's decentralized, of course, but what it does mean is that it's not controlled by anything, by anybody, or any country or government. So many people, because as you do, let's say, as you do a transaction and it goes through the blockchain, and the blockchain is the technology that's behind, it's the ledger that's behind a Bitcoin. It has to go through a whole bunch of people to be verified. It means that nothing, you know, no one can do anything fraudulent. You can't double spend money. You know, you can't do any of that. I mean, I know that there are sometimes, let's say with a credit card, if you go and into a shop, the person, the line is offline, or let's say Visa or MasterCard are offline, and you know, remember, you know, those little machines that you use to take an impression of the, so now just imagine somebody comes into your shop, buys a whole lot of stuff, and it goes through on one of those paper things. It's not taken off the card, money again. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Issues with those old transactions. So Bitcoin doesn't allow for that. But I think the most exciting thing is that if there's something irregular going on, more eyes and more hands on Bitcoin belong to anybody, which is, you know, there's nothing can hide. Nothing can hide.
Yeah.
Also,
you know, sorry, Tracy, the history of money, that I've got an echo problem.
I can hear you.
Okay. So in the history of money, what would happen is They would rather than move the gold from one person to the next, they'd give a piece of paper and say, okay, fine, Joe Bloggs has given me this, so I can swap this paper because it's got a value on and give it to the next person. Okay, so they would be trading debt in essence. They wouldn't trade the gold or the money. They can't do that with Bitcoin. You know, you have to, so we are safe where Bitcoin is concerned because you can't create debt with Bitcoin, if that makes sense. So I can't promise you a Bitcoin and you trade my piece of paper. No, with Bitcoin, it's like you said, it's instant. It's quick. Everybody's eyes are on it in the blockchain. I just love the whole technology behind it. I think it's magic.
Well, so do a lot of banks and countries and industries that are getting involved with understanding how the blockchain can impact whatever they do. You know, so there's, like I said, there's huge amount of money that's been thrown at that. So very, very exciting times ahead. There's lots of development going on at the moment. And I think before you know it, you'll start seeing Bitcoin on your bank statement. So decentralized, which means that you own it, and it's really the people's currency. And here's another 5. So with Bitcoin, you don't give up any secret information. You know, there are 2 keys, and the one everyone can see because it's the account number, and the second key is your PIN number. But the thing with transactions is, you know, also, let's say online shopping, you put in your credit card details, and then who's going to get that? Who's going to get that information, or who can hack it? You know, hackers these days are very, very clever people, and you know, everybody. It seems to be always there's somebody who wants to take your, you know, steal your lunch. But you know, and what Bitcoin does is that Bitcoin need to give any information like that, because all you're really doing is transferring from one wallet to the next wallet. So you're not putting any of your secret information on the internet. So all your card information, it's just your account number. And in fact, it's so open, you can go on to blockchain.info and you can see all the transactions going through all the time. It's live transactions that are going through the blockchain. So I mean, how transparent is that?
It's amazing, and it's very necessary.
Now Bitcoin is deflationary. So you know, with paper money, fiat currency, what happens is, you know, central banks and governments can just print money. You know, they don't. That's not backed by gold anymore. The gold standard was scrapped in around 1971 when Richard Nixon decided to scrap the gold standard dollar. And what happened is the rest of the world actually just followed suit. So they say something like 97% of money that's in circulation is actually debt. Because, you know, there are a lot of companies a lot of countries that have just printed currency. I mean, look what actually happened in Zimbabwe. You're from Zimbabwe, and you know that you could have been a billionaire with the amount of money you might have had in a savings account. And of course, that's very close to home, you know, and that could happen to any country.
Well, let me tell you, Tracy, I had an inheritance from my granddad. And when I'd moved to South Africa, I'd left it in Zimbabwe. Well, I didn't get to see 1 cent of that because of this unbelievable printing of trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. So my inheritance went down the drain. And that is what fiat currency can do for you.
Yes, and also the other thing is, you know, what happened in Greece as well, because, you know, they've needed a few bailouts. Right. Governments can actually take uninsured money that's sitting in the bank. But I mean, you know, so you are an innocent person, you're putting your money in the bank, and the next minute it can be whipped away from you. And actually, my second last point here, you do not need to trust anyone because you are your own bank. And that's really what it's all about. You are your own bank, because so many people these days can't even get bank accounts. I mean, the figures in sub-Saharan Africa are something like 75% of people can't get bank accounts because they need to know all your history. They need to know this. They need to know that. So here you can actually even open up a wallet, and just send through your ID and your you see there is going to be some regulation around all these wallets and exchanges. So you need to send in your KYC documents, know your customer, which is really just your ID and your proof of residence. So coming to more, there are some that you don't even need to send it in yet, but changes are going to happen. And that's all you need to do. Everyone's got a place to live. Well, not everybody, but we have addresses. If you're into Bitcoin, you will have address somewhere. Address from your bank account. I just said you don't have bank accounts, so that sort of cancels that one out. Whatever it is, wherever you're living, you will have an address. So it is you have an account with Bitcoin. And you know what? It's as private as you want it to be, because I don't know, if you're in a bad relationship, or you feel that you want to make a move somewhere, or you want to just stash a little bit of money, you can do that with Bitcoin. The only thing is, the one thing you do need to know, make sure that you keep your password safe. That's very, very important. And also, thing does happen to you, and it's called a letter of wishes. You need to be able to have someone, where that Bitcoin wallet is. So there's probably quite a bit of Bitcoin sitting in wallets that people can't get to. You just need to be careful along those lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Put it in get it to your lawyer, have it sealed up, put it in a safe deposit box or something,
Give it to a
I remember.
family member, or put it with your will. Put it with your will.
Exactly. Yeah.
We should all have a will, so you should be putting it there.
Yeah.
And the last point is all about mining. Okay, so you can even create your own money. Now, back in the day when Bitcoin first started, it was very, very easy to mine. People were mining from their own computers. So it was almost like, if you can imagine gold and diamonds. Let's say you're walking along a stream and you can go and sift for gold in the pond, in the stream. You can, and find gold. You can, pick up rocks, and there can be a chunk of huge amount of money, because we've got to go deep into the earth to find this gold. The same thing applies to Bitcoin. So right back in the day, you could just pick them up very easily. And then things started to get more difficult, and they went into processes you find in, those PlayStations and gaming stations. So then they started to do that. But now it's just getting more and more and more difficult. Those problems are harder to solve, and it's making people move towards joining pools and that type of thing. However, there's a lot to consider when you want, about mining. There are also many scams that are coming into the cloud mining side of things, and in fact, I saw a very good video this week on Uncle's scam. On how to set up your own fake cloud mining, and it's very entertaining. However, it is actually quite serious and very educational, because people need to realize that unscrupulous people out there. Remember, Bitcoin is not dodgy, but people are dodgy. So just beware.
Absolutely.
So is there anything else you'd like to add to why people should be moving into Bitcoin, Merv?
No, Tracy, it's just, I was thinking back, I mean, we keep harping on the emergence of the internet, or the World Wide Web, in the beginning. And I just, it's in our generation. It's something that happened, while we were alive. It isn't history. It's something that we experienced. And the adoption rate of the World Wide Web was not very great in the beginning. And then it accelerated and accelerated to where we have today. Everything's about being online. We do these broadcasts online. We can speak to each other on the telephone online, and that type of thing. I just wish that I had caught a wake up then, right in the beginning. I could have made a small fortune.
Yeah,
So let's
like
not
that
repeat. Yeah. Which guy?
The guy who actually bought $27 worth, and he got
Yeah.
million years later.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, exactly. Let's not repeat history and be slow on the uptake. Let's just get jumping, boots and all.
Absolutely. And you don't have to start big. You really, you don't go thinking, oh my goodness, I've got no money to spend on this. It can be as little as $100 or even 1,000 rand. Let's talk about 1,000 rand. Whatever it is, just get going.
Yeah.
It can even be less than that. You can build up as you go along. And but you just have to start. And obviously, if you do have money sitting in a savings account at the bank, start thinking about that. Start thinking how you can maybe even use some of that and start putting it into Bitcoin. Because remember, if you're living in a third world where your currency is devaluing, and all fiat currency, by the way, is designed to devalue. The dollar is even devalued. All currencies are devaluing. And so just consider that if you take some of your money, put it into Bitcoin, you're gonna cash in on the devaluation of your own currency, the increase in the price in Bitcoin. I mean, it's like a double whammy.
Yeah. I was just thinking, ever since we were kids, you hear save, 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 save. But a lot of people don't make an effort to do any kind of saving. Well, how about we change that and set in your budget a small amount of money that you will put into Bitcoins and start saving, and not for a rainy day. We don't need the rain to enjoy our life. Believe me, I don't like the rain. So just put it away because you want some pleasure. You want financial security, whatever it is. Maybe you're saving up for a holiday, whatever it is. And the benefit of Bitcoin is, as you've mentioned, it's not like a normal savings account where you would just get like 4% per annum, if that. I think my sister said that in America her one account got 0.75% for the year. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so save, put some money away. The percentage that you will actually gain by just putting it away, that's if you don't come in with us on something like BitTech, where you do get a percentage per month. So say, for instance, you just buy the Bitcoin and save it. Keep it in your wallet, take it offline, whatever. Tracy and I will tell you about something exciting coming up, but just save it. You will find that in 12 months' time, you could almost have doubled your money. Save, guys, even if it's $10 a month. I don't care what it is. Just start saving. Put a little bit away. There's no time like the present,
Exactly.
So yeah, let's get going with Bitcoin. Tracy, before we finish off this and talk to us and all that, one of the things that you mentioned about a friend of ours, Peter, who went to this amazing meeting, there was not one woman there.
That was last night, actually, and I'm still waiting to get some feedback on that. But generally, all these meetings are dominated by men. He did go to another meeting at Google, which was all about startup businesses and venture capitalists, and all sorts of people were there. And a lot of the women there were actually the people that were helping with the event. And there were 2 women who did some presentations, but the rest were men, and there were like 200 people there. So it's time for us to muscle in. And we're going to get a full report back on this roadshow, on the Bitcoin roadshow. In the, he's doing the Bitcoin, the European Bitcoin triangle, which we'll hear more about. And so I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm going to extend an invitation to our listeners to talk to us. Either one of us, and if you're needing some assistance, we've got videos on how to set up wallets, how to invest, how to do this, how to do that. And even if whatever you want to bounce off us, just let us know. If there's anything you want us to talk about on these programs, please add your comments. We'd love to hear from you. And we really, really, really want to empower women. But as I always say, we're not excluding the guys here. If you've got any comments, guys, we want to hear from you too. We can't live without you. So yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's no such thing as a stupid question as such. I mean, they say that there are some silly questions, but it wouldn't be in line with what we're talking about. So it doesn't matter what it is that you have a question on. Just feel free, and you don't have to put it out in the public if you don't want to. Just private message Tracy or myself, and we will, it's in our DNA to give you an assistance and a leg up and to put you in the right direction. So please feel free. Doesn't matter what that question is.
It's just some noise that's happening on my side. Can you hear it?
No.
So if we can just finish off with this last slide. So it's about pushing through your comfort zone. Because if you don't push through your comfort zone, you're never going to live that life you want to live.
Yeah, it's so true.
And really, we can even talk about personal experience, how it's made a difference in our lives.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. That comfort zone, it's almost like the story of the frog. They put it in a bowl with water, and then they put the bowl over some heat, and gentle heat. And it didn't matter how uncomfortable that frog was, it just wouldn't jump out because it was in its comfort zone. And eventually it cooked itself to death. So let's not be that. Let's push through that comfort zone. Let's get out of there. Let's jump out of our bowl, because you know what? Our dreams are just the other side of that.
Absolutely. Sorry, I just had to rush and switch off the noise. I hope it didn't disturb anybody. But yes, I don't want to be that frog either. I have seen that frog or cartoon or whatever it was, and it's not too cool. So yeah, push through your comfort zone, and they say that the magic actually happens outside.
Yep, it sure does. Scary place,
and you know what you feel, and you know what it is, when you're out of your comfort zone, you feel alive.
Yes. Yeah, you do, because all your senses are fired up. Remember, step up.
Yes. Okay, so thanks to everybody for listening, and go through and check out our previous episodes, and we hope to hear from you. So have an awesome Bitcoin week.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks, Tracy. See you next week.
Bye. See you next week.